Prime Morning, and this segment is the News Flash segment, which is proudly brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise. Whatever gadgets you're looking for, whether mobile phones, television sets, CCTV cameras, and many more, worry no more, because Franco Trading Enterprise has got all of that. You can download the app on your phone to make things very, very simple. We are digital, yes. And so you download the app, it's Franco Trading app, and you purchase your goods there. If you want to ask any more questions or for further inquiries, you can actually visit our website, which is www.francotradingenterprise.com. Franco Trading Enterprise, still phone pepper pay fee. Now, today we'll take a look at the Boko crisis. Currently, Boko is under curfew from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. until further notice. The Ghana Police Service has also assured the people there that peace will be installed very soon because they have taken post. Now, not just them, the military is also going there to make sure that peace will prevail in Boko. Currently, with regards to what the Ghanaian Times is saying, as of now, 20 people have been shot dead and many others have injured. Now, yesterday it was 15, but the number has grown to 20, and this is coming from the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Let's hear your voice this morning, sending your messages to us because we want to make sure that peace is installed in Boko. Of course, it's all about chieftaincy. Who says I am a chief and who says I am not a chief? That is why we are where we are today in Boko. Some people are blaming Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia for being silent on it. However, we can't say that this is politically affiliated, but there are some people from Boko who claim it is politically affiliated, and they are even calling on the members of NPP in Boko to stop campaigning till peace prevails in Boko. I'll start with the Ghanaian Times newspaper. The Ghanaian Times newspaper renewed Boko chieftaincy conflict. 20 shot dead, many others injured. Parliamentary impasse deepens as businessman files case against recall of Parliament. Ayokoboche receives tumultuous welcome home as she returns after successful election as new Commonwealth Secretary General. Congratulations to her. And actually, she's the first black woman from Africa to get this position. So congratulations to her. The Economy Times newspaper is the next newspaper. The Economy Times. Ghana engages economic partners, calls for improved trans-African trade. Ghana others to experience budget shortfall in 2024, Fitch predicts. And ADB PLC now solid and robust. Profit continue to soar. Talking about this, I mean, people are saying Doomsaw is back. I don't know. Is Doomsaw back? Just by the way, though, because I know there's been a lot of complaints about Doomsaw. Well, yesterday I had my lights off, but it was brief, though. Mine was not, it didn't last long. It was just for like an hour or two. But it looks like some people are experiencing it like every 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and they're complaining. Well, the Daily Dispatch newspaper is the next newspaper. The Daily Dispatch newspaper. NDC's research means cancellation of nurses' allowances. This is from Dr. Napo. Alan Tremanting asked me to be his running mate, but I declined. Baka Vomawa says so. To boost domestic use of LPG, prices need to be reduced. Chief of Abola says so. And National Security condemns false reportage on Ghana's alleged support for Islamist militants. The New Republic newspaper is my final newspaper. The New Republic. Vote against Chebi Mafia. Akufo-Addo's knees charges as she hits ground running campaign for Mahama. Let's vote out those responsible for this mess. Ashesi Dawn inspires Ghana youth against rewarding impunity and incompetence. And the banner headline says, 22 years after Dagbon massacre, blood on his hands, Bawumia implicated in Boko violence that claims multiple lives. And Jean Mensah's EC in procurement breaches over ballot printing contracts. And that'll be all for the New Republic. And that's all for all our newspapers. Now, talking about the Boko crisis, I did mention that the Ghanaian Times is even telling us that 20 have been shot to death. I'll read briefly on it. The renewed chieftaincy clash in Boko of the Upper East region has left at least 20 people dead, while other victims suffered serious gunshot wounds. 2 were shot dead at their Zongo residence in the township at about 12 a.m. at dawn yesterday. Now, more to let you know what is happening is all because there is a man who has decided to install himself or to enskin. Let me put it to enskin. He's enskinned himself as the Boko Naba. And so I want to read a little bit about the crisis for you to understand what is really happening. So national security says that based on assessment by national security agencies, the continued presence of Mr. Seidu Abagre in Boko poses a substantial threat to public safety and security in light of the foregoing pursuant to the provisions of the Public Order Act 1994, Act 491. A curfew is hereby imposed on Boko from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. commencing today, that is Monday 28. So it started yesterday, 28. Now, this particular man, there's more on him. All right, so this man he was under watch by the court. Now we hear from Boko Nabe's lawyer. This is what Boko Nabe's lawyer says about the man. He said that we were told that Attorney General didn't even put in a response, so the court had no choice but to revoke that is Alhaji Seidu Abagre's arrest warrant. Now, Alhaji Seidu Abagre was supposed to be under arrest, and the court dismissed the case. Now, when the case got dismissed, that was when he and his people came back and started killing people. And so they are saying that the Attorney General simply could have issued another arrest warrant, but they didn't do that. And he stressed and blamed the Attorney General for not doing the right thing, hence the return of Alhaji Seidu Abagre. And that is why we are seeing the kind of conflict in Boko today where lives are being lost. Yesterday, I chanced on a post where a young man who had gone to bury his father on his way back got shot. He and his brothers got shot, but he's the one who died. The rest were able to escape with their gunshots. And so there's so much happening. But the good thing is that we are hearing that currently Ghana Police has moved there. Now, this is what Ghana Police said. Security agencies are working to bring the situation in Boko and its environs under control. The Ghana Police Service and the Ghana Armed Forces would like to assure the general public that we are working to bring the security situation in Boko, its surrounding areas, and along the Bolgatanga, Wale Tamale Highway under control. Aside the police and military deployments in Boko and its environs, there is also a joint police and military deployment along the Bolgatanga, Wale Tamale Highway to ensure security and manage vehicular traffic. The security agencies would like to announce again, assure the public that we are committed to maintaining peace, security, law and order in Boko and its environs. And this is what Ghana Police is saying. So they are joining forces to fight against this crisis in Boko. So it's just quite sad that, you know, because of power, some people have decided to take lives for no reason. And so people are calling on the government, on the Attorney General, to make sure that Alhaji Seidu Abagre is arrested because he is the man behind all these. And until then, they feel that they should put blame on the government, because if the government had arrested this man, all these things wouldn't have happened. If the Attorney General had issued an arrest warrant for this man, all these things wouldn't have happened, because he had been identified as an endangered species to us. So why allow this man back on our streets and cause this kind of havoc in our community? And this is what's happening. we are trying as much as possible to bring more of the Boko crisis details to you. We'll also make sure that we hear your voices. So sending your messages to us on 055 157 5757, 055 157 5757. Let's hear your voice this morning. Let's all talk about the Boko crisis, because currently it is not as safe as we were hoping it will be in Boko. It is not at all. So, as I was saying, from what is being told with regards to the issue in Boko, we are being told, like I said earlier, that the security forces, the Ministry of Interior has declared curfew in Boko. And so from 6 a.m. to 6, so from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., there will be curfew in Boko. 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., there will be curfew in Boko. And so if you live in Boko, then you should know that there is curfew there. Now, this is happening because the return to Boko on 24th of October 2024 of Mr. Seidu Abagre, who was illegally enskined as Boko Naba in February 2023, subsequent to the vacation by the Court of Appeal sitting in Kumasi of the warrant of his arrest, has led to significant disturbances affecting public peace and security in the area. Unfortunately, these disturbances have resulted in the loss of numerous lives in Boko and its environs, with a looming threat of escalation beyond Boko. So there was supposed to be an arrest warrant, which was dismissed in court, and for now we are hoping that something will happen about it. So you can send in your messages to us, 055 157 5757, 055 157 5757, and we will talk about it. Now, also, we have another issue that is happening currently. Should I say is a trending issue? And what am I talking about? I'm talking about Speaker who has rejected the writ that was served on Parliament regarding the seat vacancy controversy, and he has directed that the documents are returned to the Supreme Court. Now, this is what was said in the statement. It says, "Dear Registrar, I am directed by Right Honourable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, Speaker of Parliament, to return the attached process which was left at the Legal Services Office of the Parliamentary Service by 3 bailiffs of the court on Wednesday, 16th of October, 2024. Attempts were made to serve the same processes on Tuesday, 15th of October, 2024. The Right Honourable Speaker notes that the attempted service is a contrary to Article 117 of the 1992 Constitution and the circular issued by Her Ladyship Justice Sarah Pamela C.A. Cranting, J.A., the Judicial Secretary, and copied to the Honourable Lady Chief Justice with reference number SCR 9, entitled Enforcement of Article 117 and 118 of the Constitution, Immunity from Service of Process and Arrest. Dated 12th of July 2024, addressed to all registrars of court. Consequently, the Right Honourable Speaker has directed return of the attached processes for your necessary action. Kindly accept my highest regards, and is signed by Ebenezer Ahoma Gietor, Deputy Clerk, and that's what Right Honourable has written back to the Supreme Court as he has rejected the writ from Supreme Court. So we have our lawyer joining us this morning for this particular conversation, and joining us on Zoom, sorry. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on the show.
I thank you so much for joining us as well. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
Great. And for us as Ghanaians who might not understand what all these is about with regards to the Supreme Court serving Parliament, Parliament serving back to the Supreme Court, rejecting the writ, and we understanding that there is, separation of powers. What does a rejection of writ mean currently from Parliament or from the Speaker?
It's not as bad as it looks in terms of, it's not that Parliament is saying that we don't acknowledge you. What they're basically saying is procedurally, you served us on a Tuesday and Wednesday, and by your own circular that was issued to all courts, you should have served us on Monday. For instance, the circular in question is SCR 9 dated 12th of July 2024. And it says all court processes to the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament is accepted if it's served on Monday during working hours. So it was basically served on a Tuesday and Wednesday. So procedurally, Parliament is right to send it back. And then they're also right to back that up by appealing to set aside the interlocutory order, which they've just done in court. So procedurally, Parliament is very much doing things within the law in order to sanitize what has just taken place.
Now, talking about Article 117 of the 1992 Constitution that was cited in there, it says that civil or criminal processes coming from any court or place out of Parliament shall not be served on or executed in relation to the Speaker or a member of the clerk to Parliament while he is on his way to, attending at, or returning home from any proceedings of Parliament. So is this why that it was rejected? Please explain. I just want you to explain to people who don't understand what has been written in there.
Well, basically, there's a means that there's basically, it suggests that Parliament has some level of immunity in terms of one cannot just serve members of Parliament as they choose. And furthermore, Article 118 talks about immunity from witness summons. But basically, the writs before the court in terms of why the Speaker of Parliament has sent their lawyers, which I think is Soriot law, to court, is to basically say that Parliament has immunity in a lot of ways. So it is for the Supreme Court to determine if the 4 seats fall within that immunity, meaning that, you know, meaning the Parliament was just doing its job, or the Supreme Court could say that, well, this is interpretation of the Constitution, and so it is within our remit, and we have a right to do so, basically.
So, again, to let people understand, currently, the stay on what the Speaker has said from the Supreme Court is not going to work. Is that what it is now?
Well, we don't know that yet because the matter has just been filed in court on behalf of the Speaker of Parliament. The reason why I support why the Speaker is doing this is that initially, I think the NDC, leader of NDC who made this application only asked the Supreme Court for 10 days. And yet the Supreme Court gave them this indefinite leave, which could go on beyond the elections. And so the final decision from the Supreme Court could end up being moot. And so basically, Parliament is going before the court because they're saying, look, this is critical. It's critical to the business of Parliament. It's critical because we have our own purview. We have our own, you know, orders, and we are going by the Constitution. And so we want you to set aside this order. So I think it's being handled in a very sanitized way. Because otherwise, what you'd have is both parties citing each other for contempt. So they're basically trying to deal with this in an expeditious fashion in court, which I hope the Supreme Court will acknowledge and set aside, you know, this interlocutory order.
All right. So we thank you very much for letting us understand this because more people did not understand what was going on. Please don't go. I'm still going to talk to you more. I'm speaking with Miss Amanda Akuoko Clinton, who is the head of chambers with Clinton Consultancy and also MSc in African Politics, 2000, School of Oriental and African Studies. SOAS landing. For us, it's more of a test of our constitution or a test of our democracy as Ghanaians. And so currently, with the Speaker also rejecting the writ, if the court or the Supreme Court should serve it back on a Monday, will it be accepted?
Well, I don't think they will serve it back because the Speaker has filed this motion to set aside the order. It would be more appropriate for the Supreme Court to just deal with this matter in court, particularly because the Speaker has submitted this application. Another point to note is that the State Department just issued, like a visa warning because it's getting to critical level, I guess, democracy-wise. So anybody seen as impeding the elections and etc., could face a visa restriction and their family members. But ironically, I do subscribe to what you're saying, that this is a wonderful test of democracy. Ghana has the oldest democracy on the continent. And the fact that the Speaker has handled this so well by sending the paperwork back, because procedurally he should have been served on a Monday, and by quickly filing to set aside this order, it means that he wants to have a quote-unquote conversation with the Supreme Court in terms of both lawyers will go back and forth to deal with this now ahead of the election and to ensure that when a decision is reached, maybe Parliament will then start again before the election. So it's critical. The Supreme Court should have never made such an interlocutory order that could go on to after the elections. And so now they will be forced to address whether they believe the 4 seats were indeed vacant or not, which is good, basically.
If you talk about they'll be forced to address it, within how many days are they supposed to address it?
Well, we've seen the Supreme Court take its time on several things, sometimes even after people have retired, in terms of the Domenovo case, etc. So it doesn't really help. It's unprofitable justice, basically, if the Supreme Court takes its time on this. The whole of Ghana is on standstill in terms of NPP is arguing and singing, to the press and the public that they have so many things before Parliament that they have to get through. So if they have so many things to get through, public policy-wise, the Supreme Court would probably have to set aside every other decision it's making to deal with this because Parliament is on standstill, all voting is on standstill. And so if the Supreme Court make their decision whether either for or against these seats, then the Speaker of Parliament can further advise himself as to whether he's going to adhere to that decision or whether he's going to carry on claiming some level of autonomy and immunity, basically. But I think this is critical. It's critical for the executive, it's critical for Parliament, and it's critical for the judiciary to be seen as acting before the elections. Otherwise, no other voting is going to take place, basically, in Parliament.
Wow. Okay. Because Parliament is on recess. So as it stands now, what could be the possible outcome?
Well, it's quite lengthy what the Speaker's lawyers have filed, and they're rehashing arguments about, the standing order that the Speaker followed. They're rehashing arguments about constitutional rights of Parliament and autonomy and immunity. But they're essentially saying that it's very simple what is before the court, which is the interpretation of Article 97, 1G and H. So basically, it's like, can the Speaker declare seats vacant? It's very simple language as to when a seat becomes vacant in Parliament, and they're saying that it doesn't need constitutional interpretation, hence the fact that the Speaker took the decision by himself. Furthermore, NPP sets the precedent with their Speaker in 2020 in terms of Right Honourable, or in terms of the Speaker of the Parliament, Michael Quay Sr. So he set the precedent in 2020. It seems in 2024, the Speaker of Parliament is just likewise saying that these seats are vacant. And so, Parliament will determine if indeed they have a right to even enter this matter, or if indeed, as what Parliament says, it's a matter for Parliament. So it's critical it's decided now ahead of the elections, and because I think NPP triggered that they want Parliament to go back, to session, etc. So it's critical that the Supreme Court looks at this within the next couple of days.
Okay, so if the Supreme Court doesn't take a look at this within the next couple of days, what could be, again, the possible outcome in our parliament, in our democracy system?
Well, again, the Supreme Court will serve the Speaker on the correct day, which is Monday. And then when he's served appropriately, he can decide to not adhere to what the Supreme Court says. If he does so, he might be held in contempt of the Supreme Court in terms of these 4 vacant seats. And if he's held in contempt, then he can hold, the Supreme Court justices and the Chief Justice in contempt. So basically, everybody realizes it's going to get really messy if the Supreme Court don't deal with this now. And then the Supreme Court will have to set some level of standard in terms of, they can either say that, look, this is not our matter, it is for the Speaker to decide, or they can say that they want to interpret these provisions because they're fact-finding, etc. But it's critical for Ghana that this is dealt with in court legitimately, and if not, the Speaker could hold them in contempt if they hold him in contempt, which will genuinely make this very messy, basically.
Oh, really? So if they hold the Speaker in contempt, the Speaker can also hold them in contempt?
Very much so. The Speaker can hold them in contempt.
Amanda, if you say this could go messy, how messy are we talking about?
Oh, very messy, because look, Article 97, for instance, states that the Supreme Court's decision, for instance, could be deemed as contradicting Article 122, which emphasizes that acts or omissions amounting to interference with parliamentary proceedings can be treated as contempt of Parliament. So if there is no higher court than the Supreme Court, and then if the Speaker himself can hold them in contempt, if they hold him in contempt, we really will be entering uncharted territories in terms of democracy in Ghana. So in order not to enter that territory, I think it's really good for the Supreme Court to sort of lay aside any other thing they're looking at to make a decision about whether they even have a right to determine those 4 seats. And if they don't have a right to determine those 4 seats, it means that, Parliament does have this sort of autonomy and this immunity. So it's critical. It's beyond critical ahead of, the elections within 2-3 months.
Wow, wow, wow. This is quite educating, I must say, because I think most people have left it thinking that it's just one of those things, let's leave it and everything will be settled. Can they actually have a sitting conversation and come out with a proper solution, or they still have to deal with it in court?
I think it's right for them to deal with it in court because it's a test case, for everybody. And, it's a very lengthy filing from the Supreme or from Parliament's lawyers. And it goes into great detail about constitutional provisions and separation of powers, etc., etc. So it's like having a conversation. It's just a very formal conversation because then, the Supreme Court will respond with their judgment, etc. It's having a conversation, but it is a public document, and it will have some level of decision at the end, a decision that the Speaker can adhere to or not, basically.
Now, yesterday, out of the Afrobarometer report, it said that Ghanaians, or the people that were spoken to, have rated court system in Ghana as the number 4 most corrupt institution in Ghana. If out of this whole proceedings, the Supreme Court should rule that the four persons should remain in Parliament, will it make the court, people lose more hope and trust in our court system?
I think it will make people lose confidence in our system because, again, we have the 2020 precedents set by an NPP speaker where he just looked at what a vacant seat, what the definition of a vacant seat is, and he said, okay, you moved parties to an independent party, so the seat is vacant. And NDC at the time had to swallow hard because they became the minority based on that one decision. And so, in 2024, I do think respectfully it was for NPP to adhere to the decision of their leader of the House. Because if NDC adhered to an NPP leader in 2020, it was for NPP to also adhere to an NDC leader. And basically, NPP has sort of messed this up by taking this to court as if they don't have a leader themselves. You see what I mean? So it's entered this sort of uncharted territory, which I'm very much hoping that the Supreme Court will sanitize by going into this sort of lengthy motion by, the lawyers for the Speaker of Parliament, and then in turn deciding whether it is for the Speaker or whether they want to interpret it. But all of Ghana will be on standstill. All the voting that was supposed to take place in Parliament will be on standstill. And it is critical that the Supreme Court really are fair when they make this decision. They can't be seen as partisan. And they really have to just look at the laws and interpret it quite simply.
What could be the reason why Ghanaians see the court system as the number 4 most corrupt institution in Ghana?
Well, I mean, I'm not speaking for myself, but I'm speaking for most Ghanaians who probably would say that the Supreme Court has been packed with NPP biased justices. Not that that's the case, but that is the perception in society, that there's this packing of Parliament or packing of the Supreme Court. And so, of course, all the voting may go a certain way. That's public perception. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the case. And, they would perhaps want to see more impartial decisions coming from the Supreme Court and different courts. And sometimes, I think the public see it as, people lining the court, the pockets of judges, and that's why a decision is reached. But in this case, I think it's mainly about packing the Supreme Court with what is seen as NPP sympathizers, but that might not necessarily be the case.
Right. Amanda, thank you so much for joining us today. We are very grateful that you could make time.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Amanda is, she's the head of chambers at Clinton Consultancy. She's Miss Amanda Akwoko Clinton, and she joined us and made us understand that it could get messy if they don't deal with the situation with speed, actually, because she says the more we wait, the more things pile up, the more the tension, the more the case could get worse. And so she calls on Supreme Court, she calls on the Speaker for them to deal with this matter and solve it. I've been joined by Isaac Hyde, who is representing the NPP. Hi, Isaac.
Hi, baby girl.
It's been a while.
Indeed. How's it been with the family?
Everything is fine by God's grace. Everything is fine. And currently, the Speaker of Parliament has rejected the writ from the Supreme Court. NPP, you've seen it. And you are even trying to recall Parliament, and now the Speaker has rejected the writ from the Supreme Court to make sure that these persons, that's the 4 people that were supposed to have vacated their seats, as said by the Speaker, and as said by Supreme Court to stay, the Speaker has rejected that they stay. The writ has been rejected for now.
Well, I mean, first of all, good morning to your cherished viewers and the NPP youth across the country. And I mean, concerning the issue at hand, I naturally do not see much of a problem with it. I think that is an advancement of our democracy. No democratic principles have just emerged overnight. It stands the test of time. the United States have been through it. I mean, in other places, people have been to war in order to enforce some of these constitutional rights that individuals have. And so, I mean, it's within the right of the speaker to say at some point in time to reject something like. In any case, let it not be mistaken on us that this is novel. This is the first time we are experiencing things like this. And the outcome of these things strengthens our democracy. Or makes Ghana one of a beacon of, in democratic advancement within the African sub-region. What matters moving forward is that we need to respect the structures or the institutions which are involved in these processes. It's within the right of the speaker to say the Constitution of Ghana that he cannot be served, and therefore an effort to serve him, which is an impediment to his work, it amounts to contempt. That same way, the structures of, the independence of the three arms of government, it is also relevant to also say that the judiciary has a role to play. And at that point in time, an act which seeks to sort of undermine the judiciary is equally an affront to the Constitution. And so, we will still have to go back to the Supreme Court for a decision on this matter. I somewhat agree with Amanda on the need for us to tread cautiously in times like this because, any efforts which sort of goes beyond the constitutional limitations placed on these bodies also undermine the democracy in itself. Where I would want to stand, in recognition of my party's position is the need for us to also understand that at no point in time should the people be denied representation in parliament. Remember that in the 2020 elections, we had the issue of SAL, where the contention had been whether or not the people of SAL belong to the Boem constituency or the Hohoi constituency. And this has been blamed on the Electoral Commission as to how demarcations were done, for which reason they cannot necessarily be identified. I believe that Parliament is a representation of the people.
That
Parliament
people
is
of
a body.
don't have a representation.
Exactly my point. What I'm saying is that it has been blamed on institutions of the Republic. I think that is within the Electoral Commission. Anybody who believes that SAL is an affront to the Constitution of Ghana, and for that matter, no group of persons within this country should be left without representation of the Parliament, should be left without inputs in matters that concerns this country. A person should also support an idea which seeks to prevent people who have duly been elected in Parliament. It doesn't matter if it had happened in the previous administration or a previous composition of Parliament. We're talking about today. And at the end of the day, the essence of having, this particular engagement in Parliament as it is.
You know, Amanda did mention something. She said if the NPP had not gone to court, all these wouldn't have happened. The NPP should have just accepted what happened because if you take a look at what Right Honourable Michael Quaid did during his tenure as the Speaker of Parliament, where the NPP was okay with it, why is it that this time around they don't want to accept it? They went to court, and that is why we are where we are today.
But at the end of the day, if the NPP doesn't go to court, where else would the NPP go? Matters of fundamental human rights. Under Article 130, if an individual has issues, the person goes to court.
Yeah, but
then again,
but
if you look at Article 2.1 of the 1992 Constitution, you also said that an enactment where somebody feels that anything contained or an act done that is not in conformity to this Constitution, the audience is before the Supreme Court. The NPP did no wrong. In fact, it's the best thing the NPP could have done. Is somebody saying that we should go and beat the Speaker or we should go and hold Parliament to ransom for taking decisions? The best forum for which people can seek an understanding or a certain interpretation of the Constitution is to go to the Supreme Court.
But there are people who also feel that why is it that you went to the Supreme Court just because it didn't favor you? But when it was time and it favored you, you decided to be quiet on it. When the ruling came from, or when, Right Honourable Michael Quaid decided to, tell Parliament that a seat was vacant because you had petitioned him to declare the seat vacant. When you did it and it favored you, you kept mute. You didn't go to court. But this time around, just because you go into the minority, you decided to go to court.
Is it not an aggrieved party that goes to court to seek redress? If at the time the NDC felt that something was, untoward against them, they should have gone to court. And let it not be lost on us. NPP has been to the Supreme Court a number of times and have lost cases before this same court. Why is it that today people are up in arms against the courts? The courts are the last bastion of hope in terms of people seeking an audience for somebody to, sort of say something for them. The NPP went to court believing that if there's an issue which is in contention, that is the best place. And in any case, it is not as though the NPP just got up and I mentioned the Constitution of Ghana, Article 2.1, have said that any enactment or an act which, an omission which somebody feels that is an affront to the Constitution, you seek redress at the courts. In matters where individuals feel so, under Article 130, individuals can also go to court. There's nothing wrong if NPP goes to court to seek a certain interpretation to the developments in Parliament. We should rather commend the NPP for having gone in that direction. You know, would also, I mean, for a young person like me, I would also sort of advise, I mean, if my advice can go that far, that in matters like this, we should seek behind the scenes engagement. I mean, I've seen the leadership of Parliament sometimes move behind the scenes to go and confer and see how we try to navigate this uncharted waters. I think that is a good step in, democratic dispensation. This, at the end of the day, will lay better precedents that future generations can also follow.
All right. Talking about that, we have Gideon Tetetete, who is a lawyer and also regional director for conflict resolution for the NDC. Gideon, good morning. Gideon, kindly unmute yourself for us if you can hear me.
Yeah. Auntie Rose, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
That we don't have a rep physically, but I'm glad that in the times of technology, which was not introduced by Baumia, his house, we can join by Zoom. Yes, and greetings to my brother Hyde. It's been a while. And Auntie Rose, forgive me. Today we are actually going on a retail campaign at Kalkuri today with the regional chairman of Peter Cry. So I'm dressed up in my party colors for a retail campaign.
Okay. Anyway, it's fine because you're campaigning, so you're a party colors. It's fine. Anyway, talking about what is happening with regards to the Supreme Court versus the Speaker of Parliament, where his lawyers have rejected the writ that was sent to Parliament on Tuesday and on Wednesday. That is last week. Currently, the Speaker, as of yesterday, his lawyers have rejected the writ to it. We spoke to a lawyer, that's Amanda, and Amanda said it could get messy if they don't resolve this issue with urgency.
Yes. So when you look at the notice from the Office of the Speaker and the Legal Department, and they referring to Article 117, obviously they are right, because looking at that provision, it states clearly that once you want to serve a civil or criminal process to the Parliament, you ought not to serve Parliament when they are attending, proceedings in Parliament or they are returning from any proceedings of Parliament. And so, looking at that, then what the Speaker is trying to say is that, look, even though you serve Parliament or you serve the Speaker, you served him whilst he was attending proceedings at Parliament, or perhaps he was returning from proceedings at Parliament, and obviously that process will be rejected. And so it is up to the court to do the right thing. They know the right thing, they know the provisions of the court, and so rejection doesn't mean that they shouldn't come again, but they must come proper, and that is what it means by that particular, notice.
Right. So if they should come proper on a Monday, it will be accepted by Parliament?
On Monday must be that it is not when there's proceedings at Parliament.
Okay.
Or when they are returning from Parliament.
Okay.
And so the court, as the bailiff, must make sure that when he's serving the Speaker, he serves him when he's not.
All right, so Gideon, we'll have to come back to Gideon with regards to this. And so I think Isaac was saying that he's hoping that they'll be able to resolve this behind the scenes. But how can will the NPP accept if the Speaker still insists that his words must hold in Parliament? Just for peace sake.
I mean, nobody is fighting, so the issue about peace is not anything we should be belabored about. My point remains
that it could also get out of hand.
No, I mean, if it gets out of hand, it means that sanity is not prevailing. And at the end of the day, it behoves on leadership to reason. We should just respect the structures. Parliament, the executive, and the judiciary are all arms of government. Principle of separation of powers, it doesn't mean that they are independent completely. I mean, they have to work hand in hand enough for us to be here. The executive reserves the right to make spending, but they don't have the power to just make spending without a certain clearance by Parliament. At that same time, where there's conflict as to a certain enactment or provision in the Constitution, it is the judiciary that has to act in that regard. The Speaker of Parliament has exercised a certain constitutional rights under 122 on contempt. He believes that, and I agree with my brother, even though I'm still not sure why an NDC man like my brother will be the one to be called upon to be giving such legal advice.
We spoke with Amanda initially.
But is Amanda NPP?
No, Amanda is a neutral lawyer.
Yes, but Gideon, I have known Gideon for years.
No. So Gideon is coming in not to speak, to interpret it. Gideon is coming to speak on behalf of NDC.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
I mean, that's fine.
So you are representing NPP.
That's
he's
fine.
representing NDC.
That's fine.
The only issue is that just because he's a lawyer.
No problem.
That's all.
I
But he's
appreciate
representing
that.
NDC.
I mean, he's my brother.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
So the neutral person is Amanda.
Well, yeah. So effectively, the Speaker has exercised a certain right. The same way, irrespective of all the disagreements we are going to have, it still boils back to a certain power that has been given to the Supreme Court. In fact, even the Supreme Court can choose to decide or interpret provisions of Article 122. And the Speaker should have no problem with that. The same way in doing his work within the chamber, nobody can come from outside to tell him how he should do his work because the Constitution has given him that power. It is also within the remit of the Supreme Court to also take decisions that he believes that is the interpretation of the Constitution. I think that we should respect that. Many people have sent matters of this government into court. Things that bars the president in taking actions. Nobody said anything about that because NPP as a government respects rule of law. We respect the powers of the Constitution in determining the powers that have been allocated to everybody. So let it be not lost on us that it's a matter of people pushing and pulling. At the end of the day, we have only one Ghana. And I also, take into consideration that we are so close to an election which is highly heated. If we, as the people, do not seek to recognize the authority of our institutions, no individual can recognize that.
So talking about what you just said, we are supposed to make sure that we solve the situation. I mean, speaking about it is easy because we are seeing your leaders, using the court system. When I spoke to Amanda, one thing that she said was that if even Supreme Court should come out and interpret it as these members of parliament should still remain at their seats, people will lose trust in the system.
I'm trying to understand. It shouldn't be the duty of the people of Jamestown to determine whether the people of Suhum should have a representation in Parliament. Perhaps we should go to Suhum. Perhaps we should go to Agona. We should go to all these places to go and find out if the people there are refusing to recognize the very people they elected from being in the chamber. The issue is not about Ghanaians deciding whether people who are going independent. The issue is mainly a matter of interpretation. And this interpretation falls within the power of Parliament or the Speaker to make a certain pronouncement. But it's also within the remit of the judiciary to determine whether the pronouncement which was done is in conformity or an act of omission which is an affront to the Constitution. I think that should not be lost on us. The point remains for me that Parliament is a body of representation where each and every Ghanaian has elected somebody to speak on their behalf. At no point in time should the people in this country be denied a right to have a representation in Parliament.
Right. But the people of Sal still don't have a representation in Parliament.
And
so if the NPP wants to be fair on this,
it is not the NPP's duty to determine whether Sal has a representation.
But if the case is the people should not be denied of having representation, the people should not be denied of having representation. However, the people of Sal don't have a representation. The NPP hasn't fought for the people of Sal.
The
NPP is a sitting government. So the NPP hasn't fought for the people of Sal, but the NPP feels that they should fight for the other people.
It is not the duty of NPP to fight for the people of Sal. It is the duty of Ghana to ensure that the people of South have a representation. It is the duty of the Electoral Commission to ensure that in demarcating constituencies, every district falls within a certain bracket. Every area falls within a certain bracket. At the end of the day, we've gone almost 4 years without this thing having been done. Clearly, it's a matter which is no more about elections. It's a matter which seeks to address a certain, mistake of a sort that has happened. I'm believing that going into the 2024 elections, the people of Sal are going to have representation. And I don't think under any circumstances such a thing should happen again.
Oh, all right. right, so I will read a few messages. This segment is probably brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise, still phone, papa, pay, whatever gadget you're looking for, mobile phones, television sets, CCTV cameras. Worry no more because Franco Trading Enterprise has got all of them. You can download the app on your phone, Franco Trading app, or visit the website, which is www.francotradingenterprise.com. Franco Trading Enterprise, still phone, papa, pay. I'll take a few messages which have come in. And let me start from here. So this one says that, good morning, Rosalind. In fact, Ghanaians have watched, let me push this to the side a bit. Ghanaians have watched Danado and Baumia's horror movie for about 8 years. This government promised to protect the public purse. Ghana will be the cleanest city. I am too old to steal your money. The money is here. I will transform Ghana and I will not tolerate family and friends. But Nanado and Baumia have failed in these promises. Now they want Ghanaians to give them a third term, but that will not happen. Ghanaians will rescue this country from the corrupt gurus of the NPP. Now the state institutions like the police, court and the EC cannot be trusted because this government has appointed their party foot soldiers in the various institutions. Good morning, Madam Rosalind and your panelists. I'm a big Alaska from Garu Tempani. The problem in Boko was sleeping until the careless appeal court judge in Kumasi, who revoked the arrest warrant imposed on the said self-acclaimed chief of Boko, Seydou Abagre. It's the negligence of the court and the security personnel who escorted the said Seydou Abagre to Boko. The security personnel are under the command of the president and therefore they escorted the said Seydou Abagre to Boko by order from above. And you see, this is what the issue is because people are blaming because the court decided to allow this man to become a free man. Good morning, Madam, and to your wonderful guests. Madam, my prayers to the people of Boko and the northern region in general. May God give us peace and let our people realize that politics and chieftaincy is not about killing ourselves, but tool for development. But, Madam, I will put all the blame to the doorsteps of our politicians and some of our chiefs. They are deeply involved. They always divide the people because of votes. Madam, could you imagine that a respectable chief in the north here will say they will burn the whole of Tamale down just because of politics? The action of our speaker is the best, and may God bless him for trying to protect our democracy and the integrity of our parliament. Because as it stands now, there is no institution that which we can trust or depend on. All the institutions, all now led by the political dogs, especially the Supreme Court and EC, that of the EC. Okay, Sumani Hamza. Right, Sumani. Good morning, Rosalind. Seydou Abagre, great-grandfather, was a Boko Naba 1935, died in 1950 before Abagrago came to Boko. And the question is it Abu Grago? The name is Abu Grago. Okay. So it says to Boko, and the question is that if Seydou Abagre came to Boko, does it warrant anybody to take a weapon to fire? I urge Cletus Avoka and Mahama Ayariga to go to court. Why should I leave my house and go to where there is no Kusasis in Boko? Who follow? This thing is just a little bit. Okay, so if Article 97, Clause 1G, Clause 1G and H of 1992 Constitution are futuristic as the NPP post it, then the article is really of no essence. I'm wondering how the independent candidate or the person who has switched from his party to another ticket will then lose his or her seat if such person wins the coming elections on his or her independent candidature or the ticket of the political party to which he or she has switched to contest on. The matter pertaining to this article, in my view, will only be relevant under the present condition. The decision of the Speaker to reject the writ is in the right decision or direction. We must reject any judicial oppression as far as this country is concerned. Daniel Akpaliok from Sandima. This one says, who are we, cry? Today, an official from IMF sits in the Bank of Ghana telling us what to pay and what not to pay. Today, we are being threatened to deny visa to USA. Are we human at all? Patrick from Accra. This one says, good morning to everyone. The NPP government is trumpeting on TV stations and radio stations that 5 million children benefited from VSHS in Ghana, yet the same students can construct meaningful sentences. In fact, Nana Dobaumia and Napo should stop disturbing, okay? This one says, good morning, host. Speaker must ignore a recall of MPs since NPP doesn't mean well for Ghana. What's the use of regular recalls when these same NPP MPs are always absent following their flag bearer? Speaker must stand firm and not allow the unanimous FC to hold parliament. Okay, Al-Hassan Cisse says, no wonder the Afrobarometer is giving us this institution is the least trusted when you have a president in government who just doesn't respect the very people who voted for. Okay, all right, let's see which one is this one. God bless our homeland, Ghana. God bless our honorable speaker. I'm glad he rejected the order from the Supreme Court. This MPP party is something I've never been fan of, J.J. Rawlings, but I now appreciate his efforts. Okay, let there be peace. Bernard Blessing from Ho. Hey, now you sent voicemail. Voicemail, they made it. Good morning, my doctor and your panelists. If Supreme Court can direct Parliament on their proceedings, then where is the separation of powers? If tomorrow it favors you and today it goes against you, then you run to court. That is double standard and hypocrisy. NPP never again from Big J, Tamale Central. We hope the people in Tamale, you guys are safe though. I think Speaker Bagby's reject Supreme Court of writ on declaration of 4 seats vacant is the best reply we expected. Can the Speaker intervene in the ruling of the Supreme Court? No. So why do Supreme Court intervene in Parliament proceedings? The Speaker knows his work and you cannot bypass him to court. So NPP has to accept that they are minority in Parliament, period. Speaker, thank you for allowing the Constitution to work. You have our support. May God bless you. Ablade from Efie Kumazongo. But he hasn't, it's not like, I think people don't understand what has happened. It was just served on the wrong day. So he says, because you didn't serve it on the right day, take it back. So we reject it. That's it. Good morning, Rosalind. So if they serve it on the right day, he can't say he will not accept it. So probably Supreme Court might serve it again on the right day. Good morning, Rosalind. It's unfortunate we have a speaker who sees himself above everybody. The speaker has forgotten it took an NPP member vote to make him a speaker. Under his watch, the 8th Parliament will go down as the worst parliament in Ghana's history. You disagree and file for appeal. So the speaker is telling Ghanaians, hence, everybody can reject court ruling. What sort of nation? No, K. Frimpong, that is not what has happened. He hasn't rejected court ruling. He has rejected the day the writ was brought in. And in the Constitution, it was not supposed to have been brought on that day. So he used the Constitution to saying that if you brought it on that day, take it back and bring it on the day that the Constitution says you have to bring it or you have to deliver it. Good morning, Rosalind. Please tell the NPP MPs to write to the Chief Justice to come and open Parliament and preside over and approve the bills and loans for them. Meshak Asante from Amaseman says, in fact, Speaker Bagwin has shown why Ghana was fortunate to get him as a speaker. The majority of Ghanaians are behind his boldness to defend the Constitution of Ghana as against the wishes of Chief Justice and MPP. So he should stand firm and continue to defend our democracy. The separation of power must be obeyed and respected. Hey, today I'm called Roseland. Good morning, Roseland. All right, so don't worry, we'll come back and read a few more messages. See, Isaac, people are thinking that if it favors the NPP, the NPP will be quiet. If it doesn't favor the NPP, that's why you see the NPP rushing to court.
Well, because to some extent, that's what the opposition has sort of trumpet over the years. It's that same opposition that has been to court a number of times and won issues and won cases before the court. Of course, I mean, one leg good, 2 legs bad. Today, or 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. Today, it favors them, and then they're happy. Tomorrow it's against them, and then at the end of the day, like I always say, it is one Ghana that we have. Ghana should be built on structures, not individuals. It should not be as though His Excellency John Mahama, because he wants to be president again, will send assigns to go about, and bastardize state institutions. I mean, I don't think that it is in the interest of our country for us to have weak institutions. We collectively have to support the work of the judiciary. Like I say, after all is said and done, after everything fails, all we have is the Supreme Court.
Wouldn't it be quite interesting if the Supreme Court should rule that is a future in the Constitution? It doesn't mean it's present, but rather future. It'll be interesting because what will happen will be that if anybody decides to run independent or cross carpet, probably the first year in Parliament or second year in Parliament, that we can't have by-elections. We have to let the person finish their tenure for 4 years before you do another one.
Well, that would have to be an amendment. I mean,
so it becomes so probably this is why people are feeling that if the Supreme Court should go ahead and say it's future, they are just doing it to favor the NPP. Because as we've seen over a period, anytime somebody has vacated or has crossed carpet, we have by-elections. So it tells us that it is not future, it's present.
Within 3 months to elections, you cannot have by-elections.
Exactly. The
point before us has nothing to do with whether we are looking for a by-election or not.
I get you. But what I'm saying is that if the Supreme Court should do the ruling that the Constitution, with regards to the Constitution, Article 971 G and H, it's not present, but rather future, then it will mean that in the near future, if anybody crosses carpet within probably the first 2 or 3 years in Parliament, the person will still have to stay there because it is a future thing. Person stays in Parliament for all 4 years before the person vacates the seat, because you said that thing or that thing in the Constitution is supposed to be a future thing and not present.
Rosalind, I don't want us to engage in abstracts because, I mean, that leads us into an open, wide area where all sorts of assumptions can go.
But that's what people are thinking.
People are free to think what they want to think, but let's stick to the issues. The issue before us is that a speaker has declared seats vacant. NPP believes that, no, this is not the way to go. NPP has sought audience before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has given its interpretation. Parliament says, no, we disagree with this approach. I think it's beautiful. At the end of the day, that is what makes this a democracy. In other jurisdictions, you probably would have people go and invade Parliament. You probably would have people getting killed and arrested. We've seen it all in this country before. I mean, a certain regime decided to murder judges just because they disagree with a certain decision they've made. Today, we don't have it like that. I think we should be happy with ourselves. We still have a long way to go, but this is an improvement and an advancement in our democratic dispensation. I am hoping that after all is said and done, we are going to come out as one Ghana. Decisions, eventually things will come down, except that we shouldn't also undermine the efforts of government to do its work. And so when we go back and forth, we should also give room for some engagement to find a lasting solution to the problem that we have.
Gideon, you're back. Please unmute yourself.
Rose, sorry for the internet hitches. Now, I was continuing from the fact that it is not the fact that if you bring the service on Monday, then it means that it's a proper service. The question is, the issue is, the bailiff must make sure that when he's serving the speaker is not on his way to proceedings in Parliament. He's not returning from proceedings in Parliament, or he's not attending proceedings in Parliament. So that one becomes the work of the bailiff to just time the movement of the speaker. Same for the member of Parliament. And so it's going to be a difficult task, but that is the provisions in our national constitution. And that is why it will be rejected as many times as possible once the bailiff of the court fails to follow the provisions in our constitution. Right? Now, on the issue of what my brother was talking about, you see, the Supreme Court declaring seats vacant. Look, the NPP cannot behave or pretend to be preaching patriotism today when years ago, their member of Parliament from an MP seat was declared vacant and they failed to comment. And I keep saying that, look, if it was the NPP who was only losing a seat and the NDC were losing 3 seats, I'm not sure we're having this discussion. I'm not sure it will even be a topic for discussion.
But why wouldn't the NDC also go to court? You also have access to court. Why won't you go to court if it's the other way around?
Our flag bearer has made it clear that we will never go to court. So that for that one, we will follow what our flag bearer has told us. We will never resort to court. And that has been the order from our flag bearer and leader of the party.
Why so?
So that one is never going to happen. Now, but look, you see...
Why so, though, Gideon? Why so?
Why so?
Yes.
No, why so? Because we believe that the court will not serve our interest as a party. And so it is based on that we believe that we will not resort to court. We will make sure that we work very hard to retain victory. But Auntie Rose, what you must understand is that the speaker is also a lawyer. He is the third arm of government. He's not, in fact, he's the number 3 in terms of if the president is not around or the vice president is not around, he's the number 3. And he has interpreted the provisions according to how he understands it, just as Honorable Michael Kwe did and declared the former seat vacant. Same for the speaker. If the Supreme Court thinks otherwise, that is fine. We are waiting. But the position is that the Supreme Court, staying the execution or saying that the seats that have been declared vacant, they should go back to work till the final determination of the matter is where the issue is. On top of it, it was done ex parte, not on notice. In a serious matter like this, serious constitutional matter like this, we thought that the court would have said, well, let the NDC be served. Same with the speaker. Not so. This was done ex parte. And that is where not only myself, but most senior lawyers have agreed with me that indeed this should have been done on notice. And when I have taken a look at all the law reports from 92 to now, and I have not seen any precedent where such a serious constitutional issue comes on the table or comes before the court and it is done ex parte. And we know that as lawyers, we look at precedent, we look at law reports, we look at authorities, relevant authorities to support our argument. And we all know that there's even the court does that.
Is the ex parte not supposed what they did?
No. The ex parte is not.
Wait,
is
what
not
they did?
Appropriate.
I'm asking. What they did was it not just to serve Parliament to wait so that the proper hearing is done within 10 days? Is that not what it was?
Rose, when you read the order of the court indicates that the order is granted. The members of Parliament should be restored to their seats, and the caucuses should be at where they are
until case is heard within 10 days.
Till the final determination.
Yes. Which is within 10 days. Exactly.
No. The order says till the final determination, not within 10 days. Oh, every time the 10 days is up. If it's the 10 days up, you said till the final, read the order. Read the order from the court till the final determination.
But when did the 10 days? The 10 days is up when? Today? Today is the 10 days.
No, I'm trying to say that
okay.
What the court said was that the matter should be stayed. All parties should be restored to where they are till the final determination, not 10 days. They didn't mention 10 days. They did not mention 10 days to the final determination, which means that if the case will end next year, we have to wait. That is what it means. That's why what the expression worried. They never said 10 days. If it was 10 days, I'm sure we would not be worried. But to the final determination, that was the order from the court.
But it's supposed to be, the hearing is supposed to begin within 10 days, isn't it?
Yeah, but the point is that till the final determination, which means that until the matter is heard and concluded, the members of Parliament must still be restored.
Gideon, but the hearing was supposed to start within 10 days, right?
Yes, but I'm saying that has got nothing to do with the order. The order is not when the hearing starts. The order will come to an end when the hearing is over. That is the meaning of the order from the court. In terms of that motion ex parte.
But anyway,
do you get my point?
I get your point, but then again, they could start the hearing that same day and pronounce judgment that same day as well.
How is that possible?
They can't?
You see, I think, Rose, as I told you, look, as lawyers, we look at relevant authorities. We look at precedents, right, to support. And I'm telling you that all of us are amazed, not only the NDC, but once you're a lawyer, you'll be amazed as to how the court came to that conclusion on an issue like this when it is an ex parte. That is our concern. That look, if for nothing at all, you could have done it on notice. And if for nothing at all, based on the notice, you can now give the order that until the final determination. You did ex parte. And you are saying that until the final determination, it is never possible that, the court will listen today and end today. No, it is highly impossible. In a constitutional matter, don't forget that the NPP is asking for interpretation. interpretation of that provision, they think otherwise. And so the court will want to take its time to come out with a reasoned interpretation, just as they did with the Justice Abdullahi and Attorney General regarding the Member of Parliament acting as Speaker and not having a vote. That is the matter of concern. But look, the Speaker in his own right did what he did. After all, there's a precedent. This is not a time for the NPP to be crying. When the Honorable Michael Kwe was doing that, they never commented.
So is the NDC happy about the posture of the
Speaker?
Speaker? Is the NDC happy about the posture of the Speaker?
Why won't you be happy about the Speaker? After, is he the first Speaker who declared a seat vacant? Is he the first Speaker? He's not the first Speaker.
Okay.
He has also read the provision in his own understanding. Don't forget, when that motion was brought to the Speaker, he never even declared a seat vacant on that very day. He asked for some time to consult before declaring the seat vacant. Which meant that he didn't just get up and give a decision based on the fact that the motion had gone before him. He asked for some time. And so once he asked for some time, I'm sure that he sat down with his lawyers. Even though he's a lawyer himself, I'm sure he sat down with his lawyers. He's a senior lawyer for that matter. And so you will call, his classmates who may be judges or those who may have retired, right? And those who are senior lawyers to consult
Okay,
with that commission before coming up with the decision.
All right, Gideon. All right, so on that note, I know that since you are saying the NDC is happy about the posture of the Speaker, and it doesn't seem like the NPP is too happy about this posture of the Speaker, right, Isaac Hyde?
Well, I disagree with Gideon, my brother, on a certain position. This can be an expedited, sitting for the courts, recognizing the importance of this particular decision on the business of Parliament. And so within 10 days, indeed, there could have been a decision on this matter. It should not be that, because a certain bunch of lawyers have advised. In any case, the judges are equally lawyers. The lawyers have a duty to go before the courts and make their pleadings before the courts. It is also the duty of the judges to make a decision based on their interpretation of the Constitution. And at the end of the day, if all parties should play their role and a certain decision is made, I think that we should just honorably respect that. So I'll plead with my brother that where we are, I think that we should avoid the politicking over this particular matter. Rather respect the structures that we have all committed to building for the sake of this country.
Let's go to Boko and see.
Rose,
Yes,
Rose,
Gideon. Yeah, briefly, and then we can move on to the Boko crisis.
That's my problem with the NPP. When it is biting them, they want to adopt the position of patriotism. We're not born yesterday.
But are we not all patriotic citizens? NDC, are you not patriotic? NDC, are you not patriotic? I'm asking you, Gideon. Are you not patriotic?
No, I'm patriotic. But
Yes,
you see, I am not an ostrich, right? The NPP behaves like an ostrich. They try to preach patriotism when it's not going well for them. And I'm saying that when it was their time, when the Honorable Michael Kwe declared the Formula seat vacant, what did they do? Did they preach patriotism? So you see, this is not a time to be
There was no issue at the time
in terms of preaching patriotism.
So
the point is that this position of self-serving interest.
The speaker has given his interpretation of the provision. The court has asked for stay, but the bailiff has failed to serve Parliament and the Speaker properly. Don't forget, once the Speaker and Parliament has not been served properly, then they have not been served properly, so they can proceed with whatever they want to do.
Okay.
Once you have not served me, it is assumed that I am not aware, I am oblivious of the provision of what is happening.
Gideon, in that same manner.
You must serve me personally, right? Or by any other means ordered by the court before you can talk about the fact that you are serving.
I want to make an input. In that same manner, if you take an issue before the courts, for instance, you are seeking an injunction, you are telling the court that a certain act is about to happen. If it happens, my right will be denied. The court cannot sit down and allow that injustice to be done to you pending the time that it is going to sit. And so when there's a stay of execution, the court is only saying that hold on with the action that you are about to take for us to determine this particular issue so that all parties, especially when these matters concerns human rights, I don't think that the court has done anything wrong. So my brother,
was it an action that was about to be taken, or was an action that had been taken? It was just waiting.
Irrespective of that,
because it was an action that had been taken.
Contextually, at the end of the day, the court is only asking that don't go ahead with the action, because in doing so, you are going to deny certain people of their fundamental human rights.
Which is the
right to have a representation in Parliament, the right to have an input.
But the same court knows that SAL doesn't have a representation.
But at the end of the day, has anybody sent the matter of SAL on the back of this government? I've said time and again that SAL is a matter that the EC has a responsibility to do.
But when you talk about human rights, when you talk about human rights, the court knows that the human right covers everybody.
No problem.
And so if it's going to be a denial of representation of people in Parliament, we have a whole place that has no representation in Parliament.
The EC has a duty on the matter of SAL. It is not the duty of government or Akufo-Addo to go and organize elections. I am not sure you've invited the EC for them to come and justify why SAL doesn't have a representation. Today, as I speak to you, we have barely 50 days to elections.
40.
Yes. And so, at the end of the day, SAL will have an opportunity. We've made mistakes in the past. We can move on from there. But it also does not justify that the NDC
I think people would have maybe been very okay if, when the NPP went to court, had even mentioned SAL.
But what stops the NDC from going to court over SAL? At the end of the day,
so you're fighting for yourselves.
The NPP
it's not about human rights, it's about yourselves.
The NPP believes in the rule of law.
Okay.
The NPP believes in institutions and not individuals. This is not about John Mahama and Akufo-Addo. The NDC is only fighting the interests of John Mahama. And this man has shown time and again that he doesn't care about Ghana.
So wait, the NPP is fighting for who?
The position of the NPP is that at any point in time, we will seek redress within the structures of the country.
But this same...
At the point in time, in 2012, when we disagreed with the work of the EC, we sent it to the Supreme Court and backed it with data. The Supreme Court disagreed with us. In 2020, in 2016, we had a similar issue. The NDC sent a matter before the Supreme Court. When they asked for the data, today we are still waiting for it. We've seen it time and again. As I speak to you, I'm telling you on record that we believe in the structures of the state. We have been enjoined by the responsibility that the Ghanaian people have given us for us to work in service of the Ghanaian people. And that is the only thing the NPP is seeking to do.
I like what you are saying.
If we go into this election and the Ghanaian people say that the NPP should leave the state, which I doubt is going to happen based on the work that we have done, we'll honorably leave the space.
I like what you're saying, that you are fighting for the people.
Be coward into leaving, these conversations out in the open because somebody sitting somewhere feels that it is their bona fide right to be president. All that we are saying is that there's a matter before the court. The Constitution has provided remedy or a medium or a forum by which people can seek redress. The only wrong, in quotes, that the NPP has done is to take the matter to the Supreme Court, which, I mean, is within our constitutional right. How is this wrong?
So the matter that was taken to the Supreme Court was to fight for your people in Parliament.
It's not to fight for our people.
It was to fight for who?
It's to fight for the Ghanaian people.
Okay.
At the end of the day.
But I hope you know that in the petition, it wasn't all the 4 people that were mentioned in the petition. It was only the 3 people from the NPP that were mentioned in the petition. And the NDC person was left out of the petition that the NPP took to court.
Because those 3 people belong to the NPP. Mind you, beyond Parliament or our Constitution, these people have also signed a contract with the NPP that are parties' internal regulations. And so it is only on the back of it that the NPP can go to court. We fought for the Ghanaian people. These people are representatives of the Ghanaian people.
So why leave the NDC out?
They have a social contract with the NPP that the NPP seeks to enforce. So at the end of the day, if the NDC also means well, they can also go to court.
NDC, why are you not going to court? Don't you have enough evidence to go to court?
Rose, you see, I told you about the ostrich posture of the NPP. Look at the very nice question you asked him and he couldn't even answer. Why did they exclude the NDC MP in the matter they were going to court? So, and look at the answer is given. Now, look, I told you, our leader has stated clearly that we are never going to resort to the court, and that's what we're going to do. But the position is that, so far as this matter is
but you see, people don't understand this posture of yours, because this same court that you're talking about is the same court that acquitted your leader. That is Honorable Ato.
Yes, but you see...
Yes, so if the same court, you will not go to court, the same court used evidence to acquit your man.
Well, yes, but the point is that the decision of our leader is what we follow. what we believe is that the
Gideon
court
has not
has not
answered
been
your
fair to
question.
us on a lot of issues.
Gideon has
And
not answered your
so,
question.
So the court is not as biased as it's being made to
this
look
election
like by
is
the NDC, is
concerned,
it?
yeah, no, but Rose, let me land. So far as this election is concerned, we are not going to resort to the court. We are going to be on the ground to make sure that we get victory.
And what is
The
your
NPP
reason?
telling us to go to court, they cannot force us to go to court. We can decide to go to court or will not. The court is not the only avenue. Let me state it clear. The court is not the only avenue to resolve issues.
So which the other avenue?
No, but I mean, look, if we are on the ground working very hard, we don't need to resort to the court. If we are on the ground, why would we wait time to go to court?
You mean working hard as in what? Campaigning? Working hard as in campaigning, or what kind of work hard are you talking about? Okay.
Working as in campaigning. If you are campaigning, why would we resort to court? We will, because the job is on the ground. And we are very much confident that once we do our things very well, we will not have to waste our time in court. We will not be rushing to court when the job is on the ground. Because in any case, before the court will even give a decision, you have to bring what you are saying that is on the ground, which is not favoring you. So why don't you do the things right? So
all right, Gideon.
Go to court, go to court, go to court. We will not go to court. You cannot force us to go to court. We can decide to go to court or not, and there's nothing they can do.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Gideon. Let me move on to the next topic. We have just about 10 minutes to finish off, and it's about the crisis in Boko, where over about 20 people have been shot dead. I said to you earlier that there's a gentleman who went to bury his father, and on his way back, he was shot with his brothers. He died, his brothers survived, they managed to get away, and it's quite worrying. Now, the lawyer for Boko Naba has spoken, and he has said that he said the Attorney General should have swiftly issued another arrest warrant for Alhaji Seidu Abagre, who had been in exile since his installation as a rival chief in February 2023, but has returned to Boko after a Kumasi High Court quashed his arrest warrant on October 17, 2024. Now, it means that Alhaji Seidu Abagre had an arrest warrant on him in court. Now, this Kumasi court quashed it. Attorney General didn't say anything about it because they were hoping that Attorney General will issue an arrest warrant, which never happened. Now, this man was escorted back into Boko, and this is what has happened now, and people are actually blaming, Alhaji Seidu Abagre as the person who is making all these things happen in Boko. So there's so much tension in Boko. Hyde, I mean, the leader of the youth, seeing this, people are dying, and I know you are not happy this morning about what's happening in Boko.
Yeah, the Boko situation is very unfortunate. I think 2 months ago, we were on our way to Boko. I mean, we've been through Bogat, Zebila, heading towards Boko, and then a security advice came for us to detour. And so we ended up somewhere, and the direction that we're going, definitely, this is not what this country wants. And especially if you're a person who has been monitoring developments within the Sahara Belt. I mean, you talk about Mali, you talk about Burkina Faso, and in recent times, you've seen what is happening in Togo. I mean, with the Islamist insurgents, I mean, and all the attacks going on, Boko is not something that this country should be proud of. And for us as a people, we need to take a second look about this whole chieftaincy issues. But let it also not be lost on us. Boko is no different from all the chieftaincy issues happening across the country. Perhaps that issue has escalated beyond what we all expect. But if we don't take care, we've seen it with chieftaincy issues in Greater Accra. We've seen it in Ashanti region. Almost everywhere across this country, there's one element of one chieftaincy issue or the other. I think that is high time. There's a kind
of civil war that this is causing that is quite alarming, where people are hiding in the bushes, and when people are just driving, they start shooting into their cars.
The issue has gone beyond chieftaincy. It's now more tribal. It's about people standing up to protect where they belong or where they identify. And I think that's where the conversation starts from. I am tempted to believe, in all honesty, that people sort of fuel this Boko conflict for political gains. Because I do not understand we're a few days to elections. This is emerging. And in doing so, there are people who benefit from some of this violence. You know the issue about the Kusasis and the man process. I'm a political actor, so I'll be circumspect in my choice of words because we all need to come together in order to find a solution to the problem we have in Boku. So I can speak to the general issues. But then, irrespective of where these people belong, I think that we should understand that there's always one Ghana.
Yeah.
If we don't solve the problems in Boku, we've seen the Konkomba violence that happened in the north and ended up all the way down south in Agbegbloshi. If we don't solve Boku today and the matter escalates, it's not just going to end up in Boku. I think that the political actors following some of these things also not helping matters. I have heard people make statements that the vice president is from Nalerigu, and at the end of the day, if he becomes president, he favors a certain ethnic or tribal group. Listen, the vice president is the vice president today. And at the same time, the courts that we all claim is not in the interest of a certain group of people made the decision that this particular individual is not a legitimate, and stool chief, and for that matter, he should not be made to be in that position. Where were those people who castigate the judiciary and the vice president when the court was making these decisions? The very people claiming that people are being hypocritical, people don't mean well for this country, are the same people who undermine the efforts of this government in finding a lasting solution to Boku. There has never been this mass of deployment into Boku of our security services than like we have before. So I think that we should be dispassionate about the conversation around Boku. Boku is a trading zone. Boku is a belt that transcends from Burkina Faso through Togo. It's a confluence that this country needs in order for our businesses and our enterprises to thrive. When people get attacked on some of these buses and they attack, they do not come and ask whether you're a Ghana or you're a Fanti.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
At the end of the day, it has even gone to the extent that I have heard that people's Ghana card are being used to segregate them so that they can determine whether they are going to be attacked or not. Maybe when the next attack happens, they're not going to ask me whether I'm from Boku or not. I say this because Gideon, myself, and any political actor have been traveling to the Upper East region. We've been going to Boku, we've been navigating through Pusiga, Binduri, all those enclaves. It is not in our interest that today I should get up and say I'm going to Adabraka and I cannot go because people are fighting.
We are just hoping that, peace will be restored. And I want to speak with Albert Sorry, who is our correspondent from the Upper East region, if he's online. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Albert. How are you?
I'm well.
Great. Can you tell us what's currently happening in Boku?
Well, so since yesterday, calm has been restored. The residents didn't really stay outdoors yesterday. A lot of the citizens in Boku were indoors throughout yesterday. And we didn't also witness gunshots as we did over the weekend. The security presence was increased also in the last 24 to 28 hours, so it has also helped to calm down the situation a little bit. So at the moment, we are not witnessing so much violence, but you get the impression that there's still a lot of tension in the town.
Right. And so, and what about the curfew? Has it started?
Well, the Regional Security Council has not yet announced. Okay, so what is happening is that in the past, already a curfew in place in Boku. It was relaxed a little bit as peace returned to the area sometime ago. But with this current development, no new curfew has announced by the Regional Security Council here. We understand they had a very long meeting yesterday. We don't know the outcome of that meeting yet because we haven't been able to reach them to get a comment on what's been happening. Yesterday, the regional minister was very, we tried several times to get to him, but we're told he was having a series of meetings, so we couldn't get any comment. We're waiting to see how things develop as the day goes by today.
All right. And we thank God that calm is being restored. What about the police? Are they at post? Because they said that they were going to make sure that they restore calmness. Are they there?
Exactly. So there's a joint police and security team in place. our understanding is that they are working together to restore calm to the place. For a very long time, because of the volatile nature of people, there's always security present. It's when things like this happen, and they will have to more men to help restore calm. So that's what happened yesterday. And so yes, security presence, both police and military presence in the town.
All right, Albert, sorry, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll definitely try and get you in the coming days for you to be giving us an update on what's happening in Boko. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Albert Sorry is our correspondent for the Upper East region. And Gideon is still online. Gideon, now, what is happening in Boko? We want to take a look at how it will affect our elections this year.
Well, Rose, the thing is that the NPP is in power. They have the Minister for National Security and the Minister for Interior. They have the national security. They are in charge of the national security, apparatus. And so it is important that they do things to make sure that the tension is lowered. Of course, it's unfortunate that we find ourselves in this situation, and all of us, we don't want this to happen. But we cannot. The party in power who can take charge of this is the NPP, and so this government must make sure that they set up and make sure that this tension is lowered. We cannot just share responsibility like that when there's a party in power who is supposed to ensure that the right things are done. Once the things are done and done properly, Ghanaians will follow suit. It's as simple as that. I don't have the capacity to go and bring down. I can only speak on your show and same, but hide. His party is in power. He's in government. So once he's speaking, he cannot speak like the way I was speaking in opposition. He must be telling us, promising positions.
But do you think this could affect some votes in the region?
But I'm saying that there's leadership. There must be exemplary leadership. Once the government shows leadership and shows that indeed they are in charge of the tension, they are in charge of national security. You and I are not in charge of national security. You and I, what can we do apart from being speaking on your show and maybe lobbying and speaking to other people? What can we do? The one in power, the one holding national security, the security of this country and is in charge of the security of this country is the one sitting by you, hide his people. So once they show leadership, you and I will follow. But it shouldn't make it look like, when we come here, somebody must take responsibility.
No, but if you talk about somebody must take responsibility, we have seen the Ministry of Interior impose a curfew on them. We've seen the Ghana Police take charge. We spoke to Albert Sorry just now, and he told us that calm is being restored. And so yes, the NPP is doing something. So it's not like the NPP is sitting there alone.
So if they are doing something, they should do it and do it more.
But this whole thing have started over the weekend, and they started whatever they wanted to do to restore calm from yesterday. And from what Albert is saying, calm is being restored. So they are doing it.
Praise the Lord. If calm is being restored, so it means that what I'm saying is what they are doing. So we are on the same page, that indeed government must show leadership. They must show that they are indeed in charge of the security of this country. So if your reporter has told us that there's calm, praise the Lord.
All right.
Rosalind, I think that, I think that I would want to accept my brother Gideon's invitation to go into the waters that he's driving to. As I speak to you today, there have been chiefs in Boko who have called their people and told them that the NPP should not be allowed to campaign within that enclave. If you go to Boko, if you go to Boko, we have Moshis there.
As if
You see what I talk about.
With regards to this particular topic,
the NDC approach of being hypocritical with issues
gentlemen, please,
is where we are
hold on
today.
for me. This is a very sensitive issue.
Exactly.
This particular issue, if we don't take care, if care is not taken, it could escalate because we are on national television. There are people in Boko who are watching us right now. So what we are appealing for right now is peace and calmness. We are not going to do any blame game, whether it is this person who is making it happen or the other person who is making to happen. Currently, by the grace of God, we are hearing from our reporter in Upper East that there is calmness in Boko, and we are hoping that everything will be resolved rightly, correctly. There's supposed to also be curfew. He's saying that as of now, the curfew hasn't started, but he believes it will start very soon. And so that's the most important thing. We are hoping that, this elections, Boko will not be affected in any way. The citizens will have the opportunity to express their right by voting for whoever they deem it right to become the next government. So I want to say a very big thank you to you, gentlemen, for being here today. Isaac, I am super grateful that you made time to spend with us today. Before you go, anything you want to say?
Rosalind, thank you very much. I think that, I would invite our brothers on the other side that beyond the politics, we all have one Ghana. We will go into this election with the issues at hand. We'll go into this election trumpeting our achievements as a government and then preaching to the bold solutions we seek to offer Ghanaians. Ghana has experimented with a number of ideas and a number of people. What we need is discipline, a leader who is bold to solve the problems that we face. For us as the NPP, we are presenting Dr. Bawumia, an unblemished statesman who has served this country in the best capacity that he can. And we are appealing to the Ghanaian people that let's give him a chance. He's the only person among the two people who are going into this election who has not been tried before. But even in his deputizing the president, he has record to show what is contributed to the development of this country. We would wish that the NDC will come and compare records, come and compare personality, come and compare the credibility of these two people. We've never had an incident where a president has asked a committee to investigate the sitting vice president. We've never had an instance where an issue of corruption has been tagged on our vice presidential candidate. We can only sell a candidate who is ready to offer Ghana the best solutions. And that person is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
All right,
we hope that come December 7th, the Ghanaian people will sign a social contract with us once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Isaac. Gideon,
Yeah, Rose. Well, as I told you this morning, we are engaging retail campaign. We encourage Ghanaians to come out in their numbers and campaign and join us in the campaign to kick out this government that has put this economy into bankruptcy. A high inflation economy, a shrinkflation economy, with a default economy, a haircut economy, a debt-riddled economy, an overtaxed economy. And clearly, Ghanaians are suffering. And we know that based on our experience in terms of our retail campaign and the response from Ghanaians, we know that Ghanaians will reject this government that has shown that they know nothing, but all they do is to steal, keep, and also enjoy without thinking of the youth. And so we will encourage Ghanaians that this election is an election for all of us. We want the nation builder to come and rescue this economy from perishing, rescue Ghanaians from perishing. And so we will encourage Ghanaians that it shouldn't just be an NDC campaign, but every Ghanaian who believes that this government has shown that they are indeed useless, should come out and vote.
Gideon, thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us. We are grateful. I'll read a few comments before we go. And of course, you at home have sent in your comments to us. And so we'll take a few of them. And this segment is probably brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise. Still phone, Papa Pair, for you, whatever gadget you're looking for, mobile phones, television sets, CCTV cameras. Worry no more, because we have all of them for you. All you have to do is to download the app on your phone, Franco Trading app, or visit our website, www.francotradingenterprise.com. Franco Trading Enterprise, still phone, Papa Pair, for you. So some of the comments coming in. This one says, again, for the record, it's not because Boko na Alhaji Seidu Abagri had arrived hometown of his grandfather and his great-grandfather has escalated this renewed chieftaincy dispute. If anyone disagree with the ruling of appeal court, you can go back to court for a redress rather than the use violence means. Prince Bawumia. Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, Rose. Life is short. Yesterday, it was President Mills. President Rawlings. Today is Madam Ekuadonko. Yes. Our very own Madam Ekuadonko has been called by his hair maker. And so Madam Ekuadonko is no more a part of us. Teacher Kujo from Tepa says that I don't blame the speaker who thinks that he's the one to interpret the constitution. Rather, I blame those NPP MPs who stupid. Hey. All right. Musa Abattoir in Asawase, the unrest in Boko is being fueled by politicians benefiting. Okay. This one, okay, so Sami Boachi, the Speaker of Parliament, had demonstrated a clear allegiance to his party's interest by rejecting the writ to serve Parliament, showcasing questionable leadership. This development serves as a valuable lesson for the NPP. It highlights the importance of strategic voting, emphasizing the need to avoid split ticketing. Okay. Good submission, Jay Hyde. All right, so this one says good submission to you, Jay Hyde. Hassan Sise from Zeno Central, NPP and Honorable Apenya Markin running to the Supreme Court to get favor wasn't the logic one at all. But he did that because he believed that the Supreme Court is there to do their bidding because the courts have been packed by Nana Addo to favor the NPP. All right, thank you all for sending your messages to us. We are super grateful that you made time to join us this morning, and this all time will permit us for this segment. Don't forget that from the 14th to the 17th of November, Joy Prime Made in Ghana Fair is coming your way, and you can't afford to miss it. If you want to showcase, you want to be a vendor, you can actually get in touch with us and we'll give you a slot to showcase. If you want to be like, an enjoyer like myself, you go and eat, you go and have fun, you go and buy, you shop and all. Well, I can assure you that everything will be at a discount. And so you just come with your purse and know that you're buying things at discounted prices. Yes, from the 14th to the 17th, there'll be so many activities. There'll be games, there'll be fashion runway, there will be cooking competition. I just cannot wait for Joy Prime Made in Ghana Fair. It's one of the best fairs that could come your way. Don't miss out on it. You have fun, you shop at discounted prices. You can get skin creams, hair products, shoes, clothes, food. I mean, everything you could think of as a Ghanaian will be present at the place. So you can call to participate. The number is on your screen right now. You can call this number and be a participant of it, where you display your goods. And if you want to enjoy, like myself, just make sure you had a good pack from the 14th to the 17th. I mean, entry is free, so it's not like we are charging you to come in there and come and shop. It's free, come and shop. That's all we are telling you. Come and enjoy yourself, okay? A big thank you to my guest who joined us, Isaac Hyde. Thank you so much. Isaac represented the NPP. We are super grateful that you could make time and join us this morning. So, Isaac J. Hyde. All right, so, and Gideon Tetetete, who joined us, Gideon Tetetete Esquire joined us and represented the NDC as well.